Thank you for choosing to view this video entitled Uncovering Commercial Real Estate Referrals. This video is brought to you by the Learning Department at Coldwell Banker Commercial and is intended for the residential real estate agent who wishes to supplement their income by finding commercial real estate referral opportunities within their existing client base. Let me now introduce our speaker for this segment. Ralph Spencer is without a doubt only a handful of commercial experts who is qualified to present today's topic. Ralph comes with over 35 years experience in commercial real estate. What makes Ralph exceptionally qualified is that he began his career in residential real estate and has sold hundreds of homes before making that transition to commercial real estate. In addition, Ralph is not employed by Coldwell Banker Commercial as he is an independent expert. We hope you enjoy and find value in this 45-minute video segment.
Well, good morning. I got to stand up for this group. I want to welcome you to my room here, to my office, and I want to thank you for having me. Let me tell you a little bit of my story, and then I'll sit down and we'll really go to work. But here's what I did. I started in residential. And I don't know if you guys can identify with this, but I kind of looked over the aisle and I saw these commercial guys, and I saw them. What I thought they'd talk about these big deals. Truth is, they didn't make half of them, but they'd talk about these big deals. And I said, man, I think I would like to do some of that commercial. And they would always kind of look down their nose at me and this is the true story. They'd say Ralph, I don't think you got it. I don't think you can do it. Well, let me fast forward. It's about 3 or 4 years after I'd been in residential that I decided to move into commercial. And I did it exclusively. What was interesting is I went with a company that's all they did was commercial. And so I could no longer do residential. And I'm going to draw on that experience a little bit today. And then the second experience I want to share with you is ultimately I bought that company. It was a large company there in Richmond, Virginia. And I subsequently was the sales manager, and I hired the top residential broker in Richmond, Virginia. He decided he wanted to transition into commercial. His name was Wales Ingram, and I hired Wales. And I watched Wales go back and forth, and it was really tough because, as you might know, in commercial you hardly make anything your first year or so, and Wales was starving to death, and he'd have residential people saying, sell me a house. They were past clients. And I want to share with you what Wales discovered, and I'll give you the punchline right now. What Wales discovered was he set up a residential referral relationship because he had to be a specialist in commercial. So it works both ways, and I want to talk to you today about this exciting venture that Coldwell Banker is investing in, and I'm going to slip and say something that I'm going to say again at the end. It's free. Can you believe it? It's free. They're not going to charge any fee. They're not going to skim any money off the top. The truth is, it's free. Thanks for joining us. I'll come back in and talk with you a little bit toward the end. You don't need to see me a lot. So we're going to talk about three things: the recognition of the referral opportunity, recognizing a qualified referral, and I'm going to focus on qualified, and some of you are not going to want to hear what I have to say about that. But I've got to tell you, I want to help you become more successful. That's our goal today. Our goal is that this is going to be a profitable investment for you this next hour. But you got to listen to what I'm going to say about qualified. And then what's best for you and your client? Recognition of the referral opportunity. Let me get on track here. I like to say, you remember Jerry Maguire? Do you remember what the line was in Jerry Maguire? Okay? Think about it. Show me the money. So I figure why not start with showing me the money. So I'm just going to pluck from the air $1 million commercial transaction. Now, I want to let you know I was the principal of a company, and we did 3 commercial transactions every day. And I have to tell you, the majority of them were under $1 million. Once in a while, we might do one that's a lot larger, but those are the ones you hear about, but they don't happen all that often. So I think $1 million, maybe even $750,000 would have been a good number. And clearly there are those. Again, I've done deals, up to $65 million, but most of them are $1 million. Let's take the referring portion. You all know what I mean by referring portion, and that is if you referred the buyer or if you referred the seller, that kind of thing. And I'm just using for mathematics the 3%, assuming that maybe it was a 6% fee, but as you will know, those fees vary in commercial quite a bit. So that's a $30,000 total fee. If we then, and again, this is plucked from the air because we're probably going to, I bet you we'll have some questions on it, and I would welcome some questions on it, but what should the referring portion be? And I'll tell you, it could be 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, but in most cases, it's probably going to be 10 to 20%. It's going to fall in that range, but we'll talk about that at the appropriate time. I'm using 20% here. You're following my math? That's a $6,000 referral fee. That's one closed commercial transaction that's pretty vanilla. The fact is, over the last several years, CBC has paid residential agents over $11 million in referral fees. So this is not their first rodeo. That's why I was kind of excited about joining them as an outsider, because they're just taking it to another level. All right, I'm going to switch so your screen's going to look a little differently, because I'm going to go to full screen now because I want you to really get the benefit of what we're going to be talking about. So my question is, it's pretty simple. You got the slide, you got his residence, you got his office, you got him. Can you help this client? Can you help this client? Or can you just half help this client? Well, I say, yes, you can completely help this client. Here's the way you have to help them, and here's what I think is going to be basic to our whole success together. And that is, you got to do what you say you're going to do, when you say you're going to do it, and probably a little better today than you said you were going to do it. You've got to perform residentially. And you got to perform and follow through on what it is you're doing. And when you do that, that's going to build trust. It's no way around it. It's going to build trust. People have confidence in you, and they'll like you. Now, if you do those two things, let's go over to the other side of the ledger to talk about what you've got to do. You got to learn how to seek the commercial opportunity, and we're going to try to address it. But here's the message. It ain't hard. It is not hard. It's an awareness factor. And secondly, you've got to successfully refer. That's easier today because of the Coldwell Banker solution, but it's not a slam dunk, so you're going to have to work at that, and we're going to talk about that. Bottom line, yes, you can help this client. So let's talk about exactly how to go about doing it. If you want to generate some money from residential referrals, commercial referrals from residential people, you got to target your active clients and those who you've worked with. In other words, you've got to use your sphere of influence. Now, here's the whole message here. People do business with people they like, they trust. So those are the people that we've got to target. Now, obviously, some of them are the people you're working with right now. Now, if you're taking notes, this is not a long note. Do you have any other real estate needs locally or nationally? That's it, folks. That's it. Now, hopefully, you will know that as a result of your qualifying them and talking with them through the whole relationship process. But that's as simple as it gets. Tell me a little bit about what your needs are. Now, here's the next piece that you got to get some skills at. You got to be able to clarify the needs. In other words, you're good at qualifying. You got to be good at it, or else you're not going to be in the business in a year from now. So you got to be good at asking people questions and clarifying their needs. You just have to apply it to commercial. All right? So, tell me, and here's one of the best things I would offer you. Ask them what they've already done. Ask them their process. Ask them what their experience is. What have you done already? You say you need a new office. That's interesting. Well, tell me what your process is. Tell me how you've gone about. Who are you working with? What have you seen? What are you doing? Understand what their situation is.